here is the galley power. That's this one just here. We'll get that switched on. That's your coffee machine, your entertainment equipment, all that stuff. We've got ultimate control of it here, just in case it interferes with our systems at the front. We can switch it off. Okay. Next one up here will be the passenger signs. That's these two here. We'll get those switched on. That's it. Next one here will be the window heat, which is these two and these two. That warms up all the glass for us around the aircraft, stops it from steaming up, keeps it clear, and if any of the panels start to overheat, you get one of those orange lights come on the top there, so you know which system's overheating. Next one here is the hydraulics. We'll get those two switched on. So you've got 4 hydraulic pumps in total. You've got 2 there driven by engines, which are still showing low pressure because the engines aren't running, and 2 driven by electrics. Those are just much smaller ones, just for backup. Okay. Next one here is the air conditioning. We need to shut the air conditioning down, so the left and right packs there, click those up. That's it. That shuts all the aircon down, makes it easy for the engines to start. If you travel on a jet, you'll notice the cabin gets a bit warm before you move away. That's what's happening just there. Okay. Next one here is the flight instruments. So I'll just quickly run you through all the screens and gauges here. First one here is what we call the primary flight display. Shows us everything about what the aircraft's doing. First one on the right hand side, that's your vertical speed indicator. That one there tells us how quickly we're gaining or losing altitude. So if this needle here starts to swing up, it means we're climbing. Further up it points the quicker you're climbing, and if it swings down, that means you're descending. Further down, the quicker you're descending. These numbers here are basically thousands of feet per minute. Okay. Next one here, this is the altitude. That's your height above sea level in feet. We're about 20 feet above sea level at the moment. That's just the elevation of this airport here. Next one here is the artificial horizon, just gives us the pitch and roll of the aircraft. The black square in the middle there is the nose, and the bars either side of the wings. So it tells us when we're pitching up and down and rolling left and right. Okay. This aircraft 99% of the time actually stays above the horizon. Excuse me, so even when we're coming in on an approach, the aircraft should actually stay above the brown. Okay, so we basically sit fairly flat and sink down this way. Whereas a light aircraft, you're basically diving it down at the ground. Yeah, so it's a little bit different in terms of handling, but yeah, same concept. Next one here, this is the airspeed, and that tells us how fast we're going through the air in knots. Quick conversion for knots, times that one by 2, and that gives you kilometres per hour approximately. We'll be cruising around about 500 kilometres an hour around the local area today, which is around about half its normal cruise speed. Okay. Lowest speed the system reads out is 30 knots, which is what we've got at the moment, so the aircraft doesn't read out anything lower than that. Next one here is the moving map display. We'll go through that in a lot more detail when we get going. Basically the white triangle here in the middle is us, and the dotted line and the circle here is where we are at the moment. Okay, this is giving us a range of 20 miles at the moment, 10 miles in the middle and 20 miles on the edge. Okay. Next one here is the engine displays, gives us temperatures and power settings. We'll go through those in a moment. And this lever here is your undercarriage. Just pull that lever straight out, up to the top to get the wheels up, and pull out and down to the bottom to get the wheels down. Okay. Next one down here is the anti-collision lights. We'll get that switched on just here. Good, and also the taxi light just there as well. Cool. So we'll do is start engine number 2 first. So this switch here, if you just want to push that in and twist it to ground, around to the left there, that's it. And that starts to feed high pressure air into the engine to get it spinning. Now once this gauge here reaches 20%, the ignition system will kick in. 20% you can also add the fuel to the engine, which is this lever on the back. Okay, so once that gets to 20, just pull out, up and into the top, just number 2. There you go. Cool. That opens up the fuel valve, lets the fuel come pouring into the engine. Exhaust gas temperature starts to rise. It's in degrees centigrades, gets pretty hot pretty fast. And at 55% on the compressor down here, the starter drops out and the engine carries on running by itself. There we go. Temperature winds back and stabilizes. Everything looks pretty good. Now this one at the top here is your intake fan. So if you look at the engine, you've got that big fan which sucks all the air in at the front. That's this one. This is a percentage as well. That also gives us our percentage of power. So if I ask you for say 60%, that's what you'll be looking for there. Degrees centigrade, that tells you the temperature of the gas coming out the back of the engine. Fuel flow, that's tons of fuel per hour. Compressor, that's the bit that does all the work, so it mixes the high pressure air, mixes the fuel, and the ignition system goes on in there. Fuel flow again, oil information and vibration. Okay, so we'll do the same now for engine number 1, push and twist. That's it, and same again, looking for 20% and add the fuel at 20%. That's it. Opens up the fuel valve again, and basically you want to make sure these two are locked in here all the time while you're flying. Okay, you can take jack off the flight, that's alright.
A bit warm.
Can be, yeah. Cool.
Stuffy like a real aircraft.
Yeah, can be, yeah. Alright, so there we go, so everything's stabilised there again. It's basically because the aircon's been shut down for engine start. So next one here is the generators. We can switch the electrical power over to the engine, so we'll click those two down. Oh, just this one here, that's it, and that one there. That's the way. And that basically switches the electrical power over to the engines. Now there is a third engine in the tail called the auxiliary power unit. That generates power before the main engines have started, and also the high pressure air to start the engines. If this was a commercial flight where we're going higher, travelling for a longer distance, that would be shut down, which is this one here. But because we're travelling low level and staying close to the ground, we're going to leave that running. Okay, so we'll leave that running for today. Next one here is the Pro Pete. We'll get those two switched on. So all the